Booking light, third watch CCTV stares at the holding cell hallway. Fluorescents buzz. On the shatterproof window of cell 3, clean palm blooms in fog and slides exactly 1 inch. From the patrol radio clipped to a silent duty belt on a hook. A slow, careful voice that isn't on any channel says, "Don't. Release." Catch the midnight to wait at a small city precinct because student loans like fluorescent light, 25. Probationary badge that still creaks when you breathe. Third watch means booking camera duty, paperwork that believes in paper more than people. And eyes on 3 holding cells until transport shows at dawn. Extra rules from Sergeant Rivas at handoff. Smile that didn't stick. Don't open any cell by yourself after midnight. Don't go into the evidence room without a second set of eyes. If the jail software offers a quick transfer, tell it no like it's a dog that knows roads. The label printer on the booking desk meant for property tags and wristbands wakes without your thumb and spits a strip with no case number, no barcode. Just do not release cell 3. Along the torn edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You slide the strip under the blotter glass because paper makes rules heavier. The clock on the wall says 10:49 and refuses to tremble. 2 knuckles touch the glass of cell 3 measured, not thermal pop. The camera above the door throws your face back a half-beat latent, shows a second head behind your shoulder. Tilted toward your left ear, mouth parted on the first half of don't. You blink until the lens remembers it owes you honesty. The jail software nudges the corner of the monitor with a green card you didn't request. Quick transfer C3, except glows the precise color designed to forgive. You tap decline and pretend electrons respect boundaries. The intercom in the hallway clicks no one holding the talk. Kian lowers a voice into the air piece by piece. Careful as a museum guide. Don't. Open, not Rivas. Not dispatch that tone cities keep for labeling bones. You say copy to a room that eats it. You occupy your hands with what hands can hold. Check cuffs, log medical answers nobody wants to answer at midnight, refill the scion ribbon in the ID camera. The building hums one long note fac. Vending machine compressor. Old ballast pressed like a ruler under your ribs. In that chord, as the thumb turn on cell 3's door shivers a millimeter, a sleeper scratching. And learns shame when your palm lands flat on steel and says no like bedtime. Your phone buzzes on silent where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm release at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside the holding corridor, then behind your chair. Then you hold the power button until mercy. For a breath, the lock screen wears 3:13. And gives it back like a dog surrendering a glove. The Sallyport camera picks up a patrol unit nosing through on its way to report-writing paradise. The lens hiccups one bad frame air in the corridor full of slow-falling chaff like a harvest, took a wrong turn underground, then remembers tile and steel and scuff marks. You walk the cells because legs leash ideas. C1 empty. C2 empty. C3 occupied by nobody you booked? The window blooms a palm. Slides 1 inch thins. You set your own hand to your side because mammals keep old rituals. Through glass and chill. Pressure matches present, not pushy ass if a hand through material agrees you both exist. Rivas texts, all quiet? Your reply arrives stamped with the wrong time for half a second, 3:13, then the honest hour. Printer's old, they send the supervisor's absolution for nights that should hire priests. The wristband printer coughs another strip. Edges damp like letters can sweat. Don't acknowledge knocks. You wedge it into the door jamb, where your hand will be rude and see it. From the intercom. A soft 2-note whistle threads down the hallway. Exact pitch you use when you want another officer SI slanding. A half beat late like a copy trying to keep step. Do not answer. The door's strike plate taps once, polite as someone with keys. A drunk walks in off the street and asks if it's Tuesday and whether Tuesday owes him rent. You feed him coffee and a phone call to someone who accepts him like a neighborhood. The building lets the night sit down again. At 11:31, the precinct decides to be choir, HVAC. Vending, ballast radio chargers, ribs aligned into one sustained note that remembers how to be a spine. In that breath, cell 3's latch nudges a hair and gives up when you say no to metal like you repaid to mean it. The labeler pushes a damp strip into your hand. Leave cell 3 closed. You slide it under the glass beside the first until the words weigh more. You print a sign because signs are spells. After midnight, holding doors opened by SGT only blue painter. S-tape breathes like a small lung under your thumb as you press it to the cinder block. The patrol radio on the desk, Muted, flips open to a voice you don't carry on your roster. Don't. Unlock. The LED blinks once like a liar and holds. Back at the camera bank, the hallway feed captures for one wrong frame, a head leaning near the lens, tilted toward your left ear, mouth an oval on don't. The next frame returns to hall and door, and the absence that thinks it owns nighttime. You wheel the cart into evidence to return a wallet that never held cash. Policy says to bodies for the room. Policy is busy. The metal door's peephole fogs a palm, slides its inch, forgets it was glass. You do not go in. Some rules become true when nights show up. The jail's software grows braver. Overcrowding predicted at 313, quick release improves compliance. The arrow does not choose left or right, points down, toward the door. You close the lid on the monitor and let it practice humility. Midnight lands without costume. Far siren takes a memory in tow and leaves. You write quiet night in the log because supervisors like to see that lie in ink. The letters look wet longer than pens deserve. Your phone lies face down, but steals a photo anyway. You at the door of cell 3 with a hand on steel, signs piled like talismans. The corner clock insisting 313 where numbers should be polite. No caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer that learned shame from within the cell. The tap-tap returns measured, left to right along the window punctuation, learning a sentence. You do not answer knocking. In the women's locker room mirror, when you wash your hands to be a person again, the glass fogs although the air is dry. A palm blooms a thumb with higher than you can reach and slides its inch. You don't match it. Consent is renewable, and yours is booked. At 12:06, the intercom clears its throat with that careful museum wait. Don't go in. The only in that matters is into a cell you aren't supposed to. The rule fits your bones like a brace. You sit at the booking desk with the posture of furniture that makes a promise to doors. Between then and the famous number, minutes put on boots and walk their route. Twice, 2 knuckles wrap the window in time with your pulse. Twice, the strike plate whispers apology against its keeper. The radio chargers come up one lead brighter, and then remember humility. A tired detective wanders through, doesn't meet your eye, smells like bad coffee and a case he will lose on a technicality. At 12:23, the building chooses to be one instrument again. The long note sets the length of your breath. In it, the latch kisses its keeper and declines treason. The intercom tucks you in with one more mercy. Leave. Closed. A man on the lobby phone shouts at someone's voicemail and tells them he loves them in the same sentence. You pour him water and the sentence out of his throat. The city changes nothing and pretends it is an answer. Your duty belt, hung on the hook because you didn't want to hear it breathe, gives a tiny tremor in the radio. The screen shows that wrong time again, 3:13, then the one your wrist owns. You set the belt down like it's sleeping and you respect the ritual. The camera over the Sally port glances at the alley and lies. For one frame, the night is water, a black sheet with pinholes of light that never joined a map. The next frame recalls concrete and a dumpster that apologizes for nothing. Down the hall, cell 3's window blooms one more palm, slides that inch, as if practicing, retires. 313 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once, and holds the exit thread over the side door. The pale bead on the door contact, the heartbeat led on a charger you swear you unplugged. The precinct takes one long breath through wire and duct and ballast and ribs and lets it go. On the shatterproof glass and the brushed steel of the latch, 2 perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The intercom gives you its last kindness with hospital wait. Keep the cell. Closed. The software forgets that quick transfer was a word. Dawn rehearses blue and commits to white. Rivas comes in with coffee and the posture of a person who has filed paperwork for ghosts. Quiet, they ask? Which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly you say, and lay the damp strips in their palm. They frown at do not release cell 3 and leave cell 3 closed. Like they read policies they wish they had written before they believed in them. Printers old, they decide the supervisor's spell for phenomena you can't requisition. They rap the door with 2 knuckles and listen like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers. Open with me, Rivas says. Two bodies, two signatures. You badge and turn the key under daylight. That deserves its own badge. The door opens like physics. The cell is empty. On the inner ring beneath the latch, in tiny grease pencil none of you owns, a sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the door closed. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through steel. You trade some midnights for afternoons a month later and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on cinder block. And the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Quick transfer, and gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off latches that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't walk into rooms that remember your name. In the steady voice the precinct taught you, you say, "Cell, stay closed." For a long, thin moment, your room hums one note like a building deciding to be kind. A head leans near your left ear and practices the first half of don't, and then the pipes remember water. The hour returns the number it borrowed, and whatever was learning your roots a half beat behind you chooses someone else's hallway and leaves yours to daylight logs that behave and doors that mean it. Interview 4, red light off security cam stares at a gray interview room. The red record light above the two-way mirror is dark. On the mirror's inside surface, a clean palm blooms in condensation and slides exactly 1 inch. From the table recorder that isn't powered, a slow, careful voice says, "Don't start." You drew nights because the precinct pays more when fluorescent becomes weather. Troy 5, probationary detective blazer that still creaks when you breathe. You re-babysitting interview for until the morning team arrives to talk to someone. The report only calls a person of interest. Your job is simple. Prep the room, check the camera, log the chain of custody for the digital recorder, and wait for the wake-up text. Extra cautions from Lieutenant Vega at handoff, smile that didn't stick, don't interview alone after midnight. Don't enter evidence without a second set of eyes, and if the booking software offers any kind of quick start, decline. She called it folklore that pays your insurance. The label printer on the intake desk wakes without your thumb and spits a strip with no case number just. Do not start recorder. Along the torn edge, ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. The wall clock says you've got an entire night before anyone pretends to be a lawyer. You slide the strip under the glass blotter because paper makes rules heavier. 2 knuckles touch the interview room's observation window measured, not thermal pop. The glass throws your face back half a beat late, and behind your shoulder, a second head leans toward your left ear. Mouth parted on the first half of don't. You blink until the window remembers it owes you less. It's imagination. The booking software floats a green card into the corner of the monitor. Quick start interview 4. Accept glows the precise forgiveness green designers use when they want. Doubt to feel optional. You hit decline and pretend electrons respect boundaries. The table recorder, unplugged. Clicks and opens a voice lowered into the room piece by piece, careful as a museum tech setting a rib in a case. Don't. Speak not Vega, not anyone tied to your board. The tone cities keep for labeling bones. You say copy to the empty chair because sound pins time to walls. Hands need chores, so you give them some. Wipe a fingerprint you didn't leave from the mirror edge. Swap the recorder's SD card for a fresh one you won't use. Check the red tally above the mirror that ISNT supposed to be on, and ISNT, which in its way feels worse. The precinct's long hum vent fans, vending compressors, radio chargers aligns into one held note that pushes a ruler beneath your ribs in that chord. The interview room door latch shivers a millimeter like a sleeper scratching, then remembers shame when your palm settles on the handle and says no like bedtime. Your phone buzzes where it shouldn't live. Unknown. Confirm start at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside interview 4, then behind your chair, then you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 and returns the hour like a dog surrendering a glove. You stand behind the mirror because the world is built for watching. On the glass's interview side, a palm blooms, slides 1 inch. Stins. Your hand rises on your side because mammals have rituals. Through laminate and chill, pressure matches present, not pushy as. If a hand through material agrees, you both exist. Vegatex, you good? Your reply lands wearing the wrong time for a blink 3:13, then the honest hour. Printer's old. She sends back the supervisor's absolution for nights that should hire priests. The labeler coughs another strip. Edges damp as if letters sweat. Don't acknowledge knocks. You tuck it into the door jamb where your hand will be rude and see it. From the intercom grill above the mirror, a 2-note whistle threads down exact pitch you use to catch another detective. I'm landing a half beat late like a copy, trying to keep step. You do not answer. In interview 4, the chair opposite yours shifts a centimeter under no weight and forgets the idea. You print a sign, because signs are spells. After midnight nitrogen monoxide interviews without SGT present, blue painter. S-tape breathes like a small lung under your thumb and holds 2 cinder block with opinions. The hallway camera coughs one wrong frame. Air full of slow-falling chaff like a harvest wandered indoors, then remembers tile and coffee stains. On the mirror, a higher palm arrives and slides its faithful inch, as if patience were being measured in fingerprints. You crack the door. Step into interview 4 to make the room honest, then step back out again because honesty is contagious and you're not immune. The recorder sits where you placed it, mute as a rock. The red light above the mirror remains respectfully dark. Your blazer rustles like paperwork. Midnight lands without costume. Somewhere 2 floors down, the drunk tank sings a hymn for 1 voice and 3 opinions. You write quiet, night in the log, because supervisors like to see that lie ground into ink. The letters gleam too long for the pen you used. Your phone face down on the desk chooses to take a photo you didn't ask for. Your hand on the interview door handle, the mirror, the corner clock insisting 3:13, where numbers should be dull. No caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer that learned shame at the sink in the break room. The mirror fogs, although the air is dry. A palm prints itself a thumb width higher than your breath can reach and slides 1 inch. You do not match it. Consent is a renewable resource, and yours has already been loaned out. Look at the monitor.
Software grows brave.
Overflow predicted, starting now reduces backlog. The arrow doesn't pick left or right. It points down, toward the recorder. You close the laptop with the careful affection you save for animals that bite. From the observation side, 2 knuckles tap the mirror left to right, then back punctuation learning a sentence. The chair in interview? 4 faces the room now as if it had questions. The table's metal leg hums to itself and regrets it. At 12:23, the building chooses to be 1 instrument again. Vac, ballast, chargers, ribs aligned into a held note that sets the length of your breath. In that breath, the interview door latch kisses its keeper and declines treason. The intercom lays down a bedtime rule in that careful museum wait, leave it off. You sit in the observation chair like furniture that learned a boundary. The mirror shows you the way you sit when you've promised your hands not to help. Between then and the number with a reputation, minutes arrive with posture and leave without receipts. Twice, the recorder sidle screen blinks a red dot that isn't lit anywhere but your nerves. Twice, a palm blooms on the mirror and slides 1 inch as if a metronome were training you to stay. Unknown returns, incurious that you've muted it. Key witness prepared. Start now. The mat pin starts behind your shoulder, appears inside the room where no one is sitting, then vanishes like a trainee who didn't fill out their timesheet. You breathe like a person who just remembered lungs are a skill. You open the door, step halfway in, stop because history gives you a look. The chair across from you scrapes back and nails width, as if a body with manners were adjusting its patience. The table recorder clicks softly like a throat clearing. The red tally above the mirror remains dark and grateful. A voice that isn't rooted through any wire chooses your recorder. It's a little speaker anyway. Don T. Ask. The syllables sit on the table a moment before the air accepts them. You close the door gently, as if past tense were fragile. The hallway clock mispronounces a minute. The vending machine by the elevator coughs a lapel's worth of light and thinks better of it. The world shrugs back into place around your chair. 3:13 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the green thread over the exit. Little bead on the door contact, the heartbeat led on a charger you swear you unplugged. The precinct takes 1 long breath through duct and wire and ribs and lets it go. On the mirror and on the brushed aluminum of the recorder's stop button, 2 perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The intercom offers its last kindness with hospital weight. Keep the red light off. Dawn rehearses blue, then commits to coffee. Vega walks in with a paper cup and the posture of someone who files paperwork for ghosts. Quiet? She asks. Which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly, you say? And pass her the damp strips. She frowns at do not start recorder and Dan. T acknowledge knocks like they re-policies she should have written before she believed in them. Printer's old. She decides the supervisor's spell for phenomena. You can't requisition. She wraps the mirror with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers. We'll do this at noon with counsel and a camera, she says. It's no solos. Under honest fluorescence and with bodies that count as witnesses, you step into interview 4. The recorder behaves like plastic. The red tally above the glass remains mercifully off, on the inner edge beneath the mirror frame. In tiny grease pencil none of you owns, a sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the red light off. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through glass. A month later, you trade some midnights for afternoons and tell people it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on a window. The bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach, while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Quick start, gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off buttons that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't sit across from chairs that remember. Your name, in the steady voice this room taught you, you say, red light stays off. For a long, thin moment, your place hums one note like a precinct deciding to be kind. A head leans near your left ear and practices the first half of don't, and then the pipes remember water. The hour returns the number it borrowed, and whatever was learning your questions a half beat behind you chooses someone else's glass and leaves yours to daylight tape that sticks in rooms that mean it. Mile marker 187. Graveyard watch dashcam stares at a dark shoulder on a rural highway. Patrol cruiser idles, spotlight off. On the inside of the windshield, a clean palm blooms in fog and slides exactly 1 inch. From the center radio, a slow, careful voice that isn't on any channel says don't. Approach. Third watch likes your student loans more than you do. County highway 2-lane blacktop between river and pasture. Your cruiser a portable office with opinions. 20-5. Probationary badge that still creaks when you breathe. Tonight's duties, run speed. Back up deputies on alarms that aren't alarms. Sit on mile 187 where the merge gets weird and be the first person strangers meet when they're at their worst. Extra rules from FTO Alvarez during handoff. Smile that didn't stick. Don't clear cars alone after midnight. Don't step between lanes for any reason. And if the MDT suggests a quick resolve, tell it no like it's a dog that knows roads. The cabin hums its usual sentence, engine idle, fan on 1. Rado bass tone low as a promise. At 10:56 p.m., a little zebra printer used for roadside summons, wakes without your thumb and spits a strip with no case number. Just do not approach blue sedan along the torn edge. Ghost gray digits that aren't the hour. 3:13 a.m. You slide the strip into the visor because paper makes rules heavier. The MDT screen blinks once, innocent. 2 knuckles tap the inside of the driver window measured, not the car flexing. The glass throws your face back a half beat late, and behind your shoulder, a second head leans toward your left ear, mouth parted on the first half of don't. You blink until glass remembers it owes you honesty. The MDT floats a card you didn't request into the corner of its face. Quick resolve abandoned vehicle. MM187. Except glows the precise green designed to forgive. You tap. Decline and pretend electrons respect boundaries. Channel 1 clicks open without a unit number. The voice that pours into the cabin is lowered into place like a rib on a museum mount. Don T. Approach. Not Alvarez, not dispatch. Not anybody. You say copy out loud because sometimes sound is all that pins time to walls. You do what hands know. Paperwork in the tray gets squared. Your flashlight's head gets turned to hair to banish rattle. The radar gun angle gets the inch it needs to see like an adult. Outside, the highway runs past you with the depthless patience of math. In that hum, the gear selector shivers a millimeter, a sleeper scratching. When learns shame when your palm settles on it and says no like bedtime. The phone you shouldn't have on the dash wakes with a buzz that has nothing to do with towers. Unknown. Confirm approach at 3:13. The tiny map sits inside your cruiser, then behind your shoulder. Then, you hold the power button until mercy. The lock screen flashes 3:13 like a dare and remembers the hour. Headlights crest and pass. For a single wrong frame in the dashcam buffer, the beam catches the air full of slow-falling chaff, like a harvest forgot which side of the world owns wind. Then the picture remembers asphalt and night. You pull up 10 car lengths behind a blue sedan that wasn't there a minute ago. No lights, no hazards. Just a shape with the kind of stillness that borrows decisions from you. Its rear window fogs, blooms a palm, slides 1 inch, thins. You set your own hand to your side, because mammals are old animals. Through glass and cold, pressure matches present, not pushy as if a hand through material agrees, both of you exist. Alvarez texts, "How's the mile marker?" Your reply goes out dressed in the wrong time for a breath 3:13, then comes back wearing now. Printer's old. He sends the supervisor's absolution for nights that deserve priests. You key up, voice careful, dispatch 321, out with a blue sedan, no plate illumination, MM 187 westbound, low shoulder. Standby. The words stack correctly in the air. The radio doesn't answer with a human. The bass tone drops half a note into a vowel. You feel more than hear. The zebra coughs another strip, edges damp like letters can sweat. Don't acknowledge tapping. You tuck it in the map pocket where your hand will be rude and see it. The first odd knock from the sedan is polite. To knuckles on its rear glass measured, left of center. You angle the spotlight to skip the mirror and don't handle the door yet. The MDT grows brave. Occupant assist likely activate courtesy mode. The arrow doesn't choose left or right. It points forward. Your breath writes cursive on your own windshield. In the blur of you, a head leans near your left ear for 1 frame, mouth opening on don't. The next frame returns your face to custody. You think about policy. Wait for a second unit. You think about the black of this stretch at 3 a.m. and how minutes can be furniture if you ask nice. A semi passes like weather. The blue sedan shakes the way houses do when trains cut through town. In its side glass, a palm blooms, slides its inch, forgets itself. The cabin speaker buried in your radio tray decides to be a librarian. Leave it. Closed. You did not open anything. You realize the voice isn't correcting you. It's rehearsing you. The cold goes playful with your cuffs. They knock the console with a courtesy that reads as told you so. The radar gun read lead links code you've never seen and then apologizes. 1131 drags the togetherness out of machines. Engine idle. Roadway hum, fan bass tone, your ribs aligned into one held note that pushes a ruler under your sternum. In that chord, your driver door latch nudges a hair and decides against verbs when your hand says no without thinking about vocabulary. A. White pickup slows in the fast lane enough to be a confession and then thinks better of it. The MDT offers one more gift you didn't ask for. Service window predicted 3:13. Accept weights like a mouth. You close the lid with care and give it humility. You print a sign because signs are spells, even if anyone seeing it would already be in your car. After midnight, no walk-ups without cover. Tape sticks to plastic because someone made tape for worse than this. You crack the PA and rehearse humanity at the blue sedan. Driver, county sheriff. If you can hear me, turn on your hazard lights and stay inside the vehicle. The sedan stays an object. Hazard lights pretend they were never invented. On its rear glass, a palm blooms higher than your mouth could fog and slides its inch again. Like a metronome with manners, a whistle rides the ditch line to notes at exactly the pitch you used to call across a crash scene landing a half beat late, like an echo that decided to freelance. You do not answer. The shoulder grass returns a smaller whistle, as if teaching grammar to sound. You consider stepping out anyway. You rehearse angles, light, hand, voice. You practice the draw that won't be needed if the world behaves. Your body sits still because policy is a spell too. Midnight takes its seat without changing clothes. Somewhere on the scanner, a bar fight counts its adjectives. EMS cancels itself, returns to the barn. You write quiet night in your paper log because supervisors like to see lies grafted in ink. The letters look wet longer than pens deserve. Your phone, face down on the console, Takes a photo nobody ordered. The blue sedan. Your spotlight like a moon over cheap paint, your hand on the gear selector, the corner clock insisting 3:13 where numbers should be dull. No caption. The gallery swallows it like a drawer that learned shame. In the rear view, your light catches the mile marker sign. For one wrong beat, the number plate doesn't say 187. It says a thing that isn't math. The next frame remembers aluminum and state paint. At 12:06, Channel 1 opens its careful mouth again. Don't. Up. The only up from here is the walk to a door you aren't owed. You let the advice settle into your knees. Between then and the famous one, minutes put on boots and walk their route. Twice, 2 knuckles map the sedan's rear glass, exact to your pulse. Twice, the sedan's trunk seam breathes a whisper you could mistake for weather. The zebra spits one more strip edges damp. Letters sure, leave the vehicle alone. A raccoon climbs out of the culvert with the dignity of a judge, considers the scene like a juror, and returns to water law. The highway learns your shape and forgives it. 12:23 drifts in, and the road cruiser air, and you decide to be a single instrument again. In that long note, your driver door kisses its keeper and declines treason. The MDT, dead to your hand, still finds a way to float a tiny icon. Quick clear. You pull the fuse for O suggestions because faith sometimes needs pliers. The car continues to be a car. A taillight grows behind you, becomes a unit number you like, and keeps going wrong. Shift. Wrong beat, right road. Out. You do not keep to ask for company. Company is a story in which something changes without your consent. The blue sedan's rear window fogs one last palm and slides its inch like a clock that passes for religion. The dashcam writes the same picture into storage as if that could earn a paycheck. 3:13 sits down like rumor that found a chair. Every small indicator blinks once and holds the map on the MDT. The tiny green bead on your mic even muted. The exit thread in the mind you keep for doors. The cruiser and the road take one long breath. Through wire and fan and asphalt and ribs, and let it go. On your windshield and on the blue sedan's rear glass, 2 perfect palms bloom facing each other and slide together 1 inch before thinning to memory. The radio gives its last kindness with museum weight. Keep the distance. Dawn rehearses in the east and chooses brews for a minute before orange. Alvarez drifts up in his own unit with coffee and a shape that says he believes in paperwork the way some people believe in saints. Quiet, he asks, which is how people who count nights ask if you left the world unaltered. Mostly you say and hand him the damp strips. He frowns at, do not approach blue sedan and leave. The vehicle alone, like they read policies he should have written before he believed in them. Printer's old, he decides the supervisor's absolution for phenomena you can't requisition. He taps your glass with 2 knuckles and listens like a doctor to a sternum. Nothing a ledger would fund answers back. We'll roll onto it together, he says. It's bodies to lamps. Under honest light and with another unit offset behind. You step out with the choreography you paid for in training. The sedan opens like steel remembering physics. No driver, no back seat, no trunk empty enough to be interesting. On the inside lip beneath the trunk latch, in tiny grease pencil none of you owns, a sentence waits where no gloved hand would write comfortably. Leave the vehicle closed. The letters look pressed up from the other side, as if a hand wrote them through metal. A month later, you trade some midnights for afternoons and say it's for your spine. Some weeks around 3:13, your apartment radiator knocks twice like polite fingers on glass. And the bathroom mirror fogs a thumb width higher than you can reach while a palm clears a coin and slides a patient inch. Your phone wakes to unknown. Quick resolve, and gets bored when you don't. When it asks in other ways, you keep your hands off doors that pretend affection. You don't answer whistles that arrive a beat late and know your pulse. You don't walk up to shapes that remember your name. In the steady voice the mile taught you, you say, we keep the distance for a long, thin moment. Your room hums one note, like a highway deciding to be kind. A head leans near your left ear and rehearses the first half of Don't, and then the pipes remember water. The hour gives back the number it borrowed, and whatever was. Learning your roots a half beat behind you, chooses someone else's shoulder, and leaves yours to daylight strips that stick and policy that means it.